How you going, guys? So, I just thought I'd do a video that's got nothing to do with what I normally do, like car stuff or making bits and pieces. But I've had this gimbal, the DJI Osmo Mobile 3 gimbal for a couple of weeks, I guess, thereabouts. Coming up a couple of weeks anyway. I just thought I'd just give you my thoughts on this after a couple of weeks with using it with doing car stuff, and then I've done that trip away there at the weekend and went to Queenstown and done some train videos and bits and pieces. And to be honest, I think it's awesome. It's a pretty cool piece of kit. I get a few little issues and quirks with it. One I think is partly sort of phone related and having doors open with the anti-banding thing and lights. If I've got the lights on and the doors open, it plays havoc. In the app, I start getting the banding real bad, and the light dulls down, and that makes the screen really dark when you're videoing, which is a real pain. So I sort of figured out, but I've been sort of playing with just my normal camera app and another app that I've been sort of trying to play with, which has got a whole heap of features, which is, what do you call it, ProTake. You can turn your white balance and everything with that. I want to do some more research on that because that looks like a pretty cool app too, but you're going to pay for that one to use it. But the gimbal comes with a app that you download off either your Play Store or your Apple Store, depending on whether you're running Android or Apple. It's DJI Memo app. The gimbal itself comes with the little thing to scan with your phone, and it'll jump to whatever, either your Apple or your thing, to download your app, I think it is. But anyway, I'll show you roughly how this thing works. So you bang your phone in, get it sort of reasonably balanced. And my old phone is a monster. That's a 6.4 inch screen, and it's got a huge bezel around it still. So like it'll take a big phone, no problems at all. So basically that's in the closed up position, and then you slip your phone in, whether you're on your gimbal. That's probably the best position to put it in, to put a phone in. And it'll slide in, and it's actually quite good. It's got quite a reasonable, let's see if I can show you that. It's got quite a reasonable opening there. So even if you do have buttons on the side, it doesn't tend to push them. I haven't had any problems with that at all. That's one thing I actually thought about when I put my phones in there. I was thinking, oh yeah, it's going to push the bloody power button, because my power button on both phones is about the same place, and it rests just underneath that edge. But I haven't had any issues at all, which is quite good, because just the way that's shaped, I sort of allowed a little bit extra to allow that. My good phone, the new one, I can leave the case on. Depending on how thick your case is, you can leave your case on. This one here, I've got to take the case off, but that's quite a big case, and the phone's pretty huge as it is. But anyway, so basically open that up, and then flick that around, turn the M button on, basically hit that button, and it folds around in that position. Or if I click that twice, go around to that position. So I'll turn this on. I'll go into the, get out of there. Go into the, so that's the app you're looking for, the DJI app. I'll see if I can show you that. So that's the app. And it probably, I don't know whether it looks like that on Apple or not. So I'll flip my phone back around that way, video. You can do, I'm not 100% sure if you can do that on the fly. I haven't actually tried it when you're videoing. So you've got to have your Bluetooth on, and you've got to have your GPS on when you're using this. Unfortunately, like Bluetooth's obviously for this, that's fine. But personally, I don't like having the GPS on, but I suppose it doesn't really matter. available on your, oh, no, I don't know. Right, so click the camera, so it should connect to your camera, so, and it has, so that's on the front screen at the moment. So this is just your normal joystick to turn it around, whatever. This here will tell your phone to video, or turn it off. Same with photo. I'm trying to think, there's a button on the back too. So if you get your phone really screwed up in a weird position, and you think, oh shit, I want to bring it back to home, just double click that button on the front and it just brings it back to its natural position. I think you can tune that too. I think there's some apps and a setting in there you can actually go around and you can tilt it. So if you're used to holding it like that and you want the screen more pointing at you, I think you can go in there and reset its home slightly. So you go under here, so you got your white balance control. So you can have sunny, cloudy, different lights, shadow, dark, dusk, whatever, or just straight out auto. I'm still working my way around this thing. So you go into here, you've got this is follow mode, and I've got this on sport at the moment. So if I pick this up and flick it around, the phone follows pretty quickly your movement. If I turn sport mode off, it's a lot slower to react, which is when I was doing some footage the other day when I went to Queenstown. So I'll get around here so you can see me. When I did that trip to Queenstown the other day, I still had that on sports mode, and I sped up some of the footage, and it's a bit jerky. So probably if you knew that it was possibly a piece of footage that you just wanted to shoot and you're doing a bit of bits pieces, but it was quite long and you wanted to try and shrink that up, just to sort of speed it up to sort of like fill maybe like a minute gap in your video. You thought, the video's a little bit short, but I don't want 20 minutes of footage and then all of a sudden I've got a 50 or 60 minute footage video of you driving down the road looking at scenery and stuff like that. You're probably better off to have that on the non-sports mode. So if you do turn the gimbal around to look at something, when you speed it up, it's not so real jerky. So that's something I've learnt. So yeah, there's follow mode, there's tilt lock, which I'll take it off this tripod. So I've got that on tilt lock. So if I set that to that position, if I tilt the gimbal, it will try and stay in that position as much as it can, But that's the one thing too. If you over centre too far side, it will flip that around. Big pain until you get used to it. So you try not to swing around too far. It's all right one way, it's the other way. So you've got heaps of swing that way. You can actually go right upside down, which is really handy if you want to follow, do some video down low. Right, I don't know, say you're walking past, I don't know, just doesn't matter what it is, but you want a nice down low shot. You can actually tilt it upside down and turn it and use it upside down, which is really cool. You can get some really wicked shots. So that's the tilt lock. I was getting myself lost. And then there's this one here, which is FPV. So if you actually, it'll swing a little bit with you, so you can get some cool effects. I've never used it really yet. And then there's a spin shot, which I haven't actually used. But what it does, it actually, when you say you zoom in on something or zoom out of something, if you get it to figure out, I haven't worked out how it actually works, but it'll spin around. I've watched the videos on it, but I haven't really worked it out yet. So yeah, I just normally leave it on follow mode or tilt mode, and depending on what I'm doing, I've either got it in sport mode or just normal. But if you've got it in normal and all of a sudden you think that you want it to track around fast, you can just hold the trigger in and it'll, should do. And maybe it might be doing it when it's filming. So I'll bring that back around, but Or is it, hold on, no, I think you got to click it once and then hold it. Oh no, it was twice. Oh, and so that changed the camera. Oh no. No, sports mode activated. So if you click it once and then pull it in again and then hold it, it'll track, and as soon as you let it go, it'll go back to that. So I'm still learning this thing, even after a couple of weeks. Like I've barely scratched the surface of what this thing can do. One cool thing too, if you've noticed, if this has got about 15 hours of battery life, and I've just charged it up this morning because it went flat yesterday when I was filming, which you'll see on the last video. But if you find, say you've done a lot of filming and your phone's getting fairly low on juice, and you think, geez, man, I need about another half an hour, and you've only got like say 10 or 15% on your phone, bang your power cord in here. It's got a USB port. Hook your cord in your phone, and this will keep your phone going for another couple of hours, because this is, I'm not sure how big the battery is. Like, it's not huge, but it's a reasonable sized battery. Like, it'll keep your phone going for probably a couple of hours, depending on how full the charge is, I guess. So you can keep videoing if you happen to have the cord on you. So that's really handy. And if you plug the charge cord into here, so if you had it, say you wanted to do a big, huge, long video, say you might be doing so 14 or 15 hour thing, and you want to do a big, huge video to go through, do something, you can plug that cord into your phone, that into the wall, and it'll keep both charged, which is really handy. So that's another good point. So yeah, I really like it. There's a couple, the anti-bandy thing, when I've got the doors open, is a bit of a pain, but I find it might be just my phones. If I've got the doors open here and it's quite bright outside, and the camera happens to look at the lights, I get that really bad flicker, or the screen will go dark. But I've actually found that it does it on most apps I've tried. So obviously I just need to. Some apps are worse than others depending on the situation, but yeah, that's probably my only gripe at this stage. Like, it'd be good to have a slightly better anti-banding thing, but it could be just the sensors, the camera sensors. What else can I tell you about it that I sort of can think of offhand? Yeah, apart from that, it works. Like, it's really handy. It's good. It does take a bit of getting used to walking around in bits and pieces. That's your zoom. So you can zoom way in on something, and depending obviously on the capabilities of your phone, that's quite good. And you can speed that up and slow that up in the settings, so you can have that sort of like a really slow pan, or you can have it just go zzz. So it depends on what you want to do. This PC is like your resolution, so you can have like 4K or 1080p or whatever. And depending on your phone, you can obviously change your frame rate. I can't change my frame rate on this; it's stuck on 30. But on my new phone, I can do 60, I think, in 1080, and I think it's still 30 in 4K. I'd like 60, but man, like, that's huge files, and eventually I'll get to that one. But one day, because I'd like to be able to do 4K 60, so at least then you can actually really play with footage. So if you happen to slow something down, so if you want to do a slow mo, like if you got 60 frames per second and you're putting out clips at 30 frames a second, like, at least then you can slow something down double and still get a nice smooth footage without going to slow mo footage. Which you can do on here too, I think, but it also depends on your phone. Obviously, what else can I show you? I was trying to think. Oh, you can speed up, like, that's joystick too. You can make that slow or medium or fast. So I've had it on medium. We can have it on fast. So depending what you're doing, but to be honest, I don't really use that. It's probably just if I had sitting on the tripod and I'm looking at something and all of a sudden I want to shift my shot, I can just flip that. And you can have it so you can sort of go any sort of direction you want, or you can have it so it's just straight horizontal and vertical, so it will only go that way and that way instead of, like 4 axis instead of 2 or whatever. Is there anything else on there? You can invert your pan control and so the buttons will work the other way depending on whether you're shooting forwards or backwards. The M button too, you can have it so like a quick menu, or just straight out to video to photo. You can calibrate the gimbal, and you can do your horizon adjustment for the gimbal. So that's when I said like you'd set your home, that would be your horizon adjustment if you wanted it in a different place. Get out of that. I think that'll do. Otherwise I'm going to be crapping on here for hours. Obviously in the home screen of the menu, now it's searching for stuff. Back. Come on. But in the main home thing video, anyway, there's a whole heap of different videos and bits and pieces on some of the different gear. So like with the instructions and stuff like that, just gives you basic tips. Like some of them are quite handy to watch. But anyway, so to be honest, I love this thing. It's got a few quirks which take a wee bit of getting used to. It's like most things, if you use something, you're trying to use things, like it gets a wee bit frustrating. The gesture, have I showed you that yet? I don't think I have. The gesture control. Go back into there. So go back into layer, change your screen around. So you can turn your automatic tracking on and off. So I can put that on gesture control. Turn that on. So if I'm standing here, so you get your gimbal all set up, and all of a sudden you want to So you want to, all of a sudden, you can do this, and it'll start videoing, and it'll track you. So it'll go around. I find if I've got a hat on, being bored, if I've got my hat off and being bored, it'll track me better. So sometimes it'll lose me, and that's just, I suppose, like anything, it'll lose you. Or if you happen to turn your back and walk around behind something, it'll lose you. So like I think if you're just walking around and talking like this, it would be fine if you're just doing stuff. And now it's on fast, so that's terrible. It's real jerky. So you put it on slow pan when you're doing this gesture stuff. But I'll turn that off. Just turn the video off. So go back in here and go gesture off. But say you're walking along and you think, oh, that's a cool thing, I want to follow it, say there's a car driving down the road or something like that, and you think, oh, that's a cool car. If you click that button on the front once, I'll see if I can show you, it'll track automatically for you. So it's got a green square in here, so it'll, should lock on. Wherever it's locked on, it's locked onto the door. So I don't know if you can see that. So it'll hold the phone in that position, or it'll follow that thing. What can I do it with? Let's see if I can do it with this. So if you click it off, you just click that front trigger. It's trigger once to turn it on and once to turn it off. But say if I hold that mic there. Oh, come on. What? Really? Might be the colour. I'll hold this up instead. Okay. Right, try this bit of colour. So yeah, there you go. See, it'll just track it. Well, really? But it can be funny. It depends on all the colours and everything in the background. But yeah, it'll track it depending on where you point and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, it likes. I think it actually likes being on the slow function when it's doing that because it tries to move too fast. But yeah, I've done that a couple of times. Turn that off. I've done it a couple of times. If you hit that front button, it brings it back to home. I think I might have said that before. I can't remember. But yeah, like you could be walking, say, like through a car show or something like that, and there's a car driving along. You can go click and lock on it, and you can sort of just pan around, and it'll try and keep that all in the centre instead of you trying to chase it. It'll keep that vehicle in the centre or whatever. So yeah, it is quite handy, and I've even done it driving down the road, just playing. Like click on say driving down the road, and you see a road sign, so you put it at the centre and click on it, and it'll, as you're driving past, it'll swing around and actually follow it, depending whether it gets the right object. But yeah, it is pretty cool. There's a lot to learn, and yeah, it takes a lot of playing. But I think once I've been sort of using it a month or two, I think you'd really start having that down pat and what it can do and what it can't do, and then decide whether you're going to be using this to do some things or whether you just do handheld or whatever. But it makes this footage so much more stabler. And I think even if you used your normal camera app and had your stabilisation on and then were using the gimbal, the footage would be super stable. But yeah, it's really handy. You can do some pretty cool shots with it. I'm just trying to think what else I can do. I can do quite a bit of stuff in the photo mode, or in panoramic. It'll like take 6 shots and then glue them all together. As long as if you just hold it nice and steady, it'll actually self-pan around and take 6 shots and then glue it all together. That's quite cool. So I'll do it. I'll show you. I was at 9 shots, is it? Yes, 9, sorry. My bad. Then I'll come back around and it'll generate a photo. So yeah, you get some shots like that, if you can see that. So that's kind of cool. And there's a few other things it'll do too, like it'll, I haven't played with some of these other things. You can set it up and you can say turn it around, point it at something, and then point it at something else, and then point it at something else. And then it'll do a time lapse between those 3 things or 4 things or whatever. And there's a story mode where you can do like a little clip, and then a little clip about something else, and then do another little clip about something else, say like a few seconds long, and then it'll join it all together and make it really wicked. So it's got its own self-editing footage in there, or functions in there. But yeah, I haven't played with that yet, so that's still other stuff. That's that story mode. I don't really know. So you can go through and pick different themes and whatever, and yeah, there's heaps of stuff to do in it. Some of it's probably quite gimmicky, but it would be probably quite cool to do. Maybe to poke in some videos or whatever, if you wanted to make a cool intro or something like that. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, like there's heaps of different stuff you can do. I'll get out of that, but yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that because it's like 24 minutes long now and I probably waffled enough. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my sort of couple of week review on what I think of this thing. And yeah, generally I like it. As I say, it's got a few quirks. It takes a bit of getting used to. But once you sort of start getting your head around what its limitations are and movements are, and go through things and figure things out, yeah, like it's a pretty cool piece of kit, and it is pretty handy. I'd like to use it a little bit more for tracking if I could get it to work a bit better, or if they hopefully maybe they might do some updates at some stage. Hold on, I'll turn this around so you can see me. Maybe if they do some updates on the app at some stage, those things might improve, because it would be nicer to have, like say, a box around your head that much, or even up around your sort of shoulders, so when you move around it's not quite so thing, and it might actually have more to track instead of just your face, because it uses obviously facial ID to track. But I think if you were just walking around talking about something, and you're walking around trying to show people, maybe around a car, around a table, or around a workshop, I think that would be quite handy, because it would just track you instead of having you pick your camera up and shift it every 10 seconds. You could just walk around, because it has got a huge swing, like it's about 240 degrees or thereabouts. I actually showed it in one of my early videos when I first got it. So it'll track you like for a long way around. It's not 360, but it's a fair chunk of it. So yeah, it is pretty cool. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, hit that bell, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.